So today I'm going to give my review on the Klaw raid itself, and just kind of give my overall thoughts on it now that I've been able to complete it. And I mean, I have technically only completed it once, but I've gotten through it multiple times and attempted it multiple times, so I think I have a good idea on how it is. So if you enjoyed this video today, feel free to like and subscribe for future Marvel content. So overall, I would say the raid is very fun. It has a lot of fun moments with the just how difficult it feels. It when they say it's a raid, I mean the concept of a raid is obviously supposed to be some of the most difficult end game content, whatever game it's in, and it definitely fits that bill for this in Avengers. So the difficulty of the enemies as well as the length of the raid itself truly makes it feel like the super hard end game content that we've been waiting for. I mean, just to give an idea as well, and I'm going to be making another video comparing the Super Adaptoid OLT and the Klaw raid, but I mean, I can basically run through the Super Adaptoid OLT now in like maximum of 30 minutes, and minimum if all of the puzzles are done right and you're able to kill Klaw and stuff like the first time, and along with like minimal downs and deaths, it takes me like an hour and a half to run through the entirety of the Klaw raid, which is really crazy. But at the same time, from what I've seen with the gear as well, it rewards the best end game gear that you can possibly have as well. So I'm very excited to see. I honestly think from what I've seen so far that they've achieved a potential new meta with what they've done with the Klaw raid gear. So, but in my opinion, one of the biggest downsides to this raid is the communication puzzles. It's kind of like a double-edged sword, right? Because I completely understand having to need communication with these puzzles, but for a lot of these puzzles, if you have like, I'll kind of compare it to the Super Adaptoid OLT real quick. So like, you can run through the Super Adaptoid OLT with randoms and be able to complete it no problem. But with this, you absolutely need some type of communication involved when trying to complete these puzzles. And I think that the only reason why I say that's a downside is because I would say at least 85% of the player base, when they play online, they don't play with anybody. They play with just random people that, you know, they either don't communicate with or don't want to communicate with. Sometimes people just like to hop online and play without having to talk to other people. So that's why I would consider it a downside, in my opinion. I would also say a downside is the lack of the join in progress, because it kind of plays off the lack of communication piece, because there is a lack of communication. A lot of the randoms that I usually encounter when trying to do the raid, if a puzzle can't be done immediately, or like if we all die, so like we have to go back to the checkpoint even one time, the random will leave. It's like a lot of people who have been attempting this raid have no patience, and I mean, I don't know what they expected because it's a raid, but at the same time, a lot of the people, like I said, a lot of the people I've encountered just have no patience. So the lack of the join in progress definitely hurts. Even if they limit it to just like people you can invite and not just anybody, because obviously it would kind of be stupid if like, you know, I could just go into quick play real quick and join a Klaw raid in progress. That's like at the very end. So I basically get rewarded with the gear without any of the actual effort. I get that that would be stupid. But in my opinion, like, even if you just limit it to like invites, so like if my friend, like, to give you an example, when we were running the raid one time, we were literally at the final phase of the Klaw fight when you're fighting him small, and one of my friends had an app crash, and it booted him out, and it disconnected him. So now we were stuck to 3 people, and then because we died, the random that was with us left, so then I was down to 2 people, and it was like, things like this can be avoided with the join in progress type stuff. So if like my friend had an app crash, if they limit the join in progress to invites, I can just re-invite him so that he can join back up and pick where he left off. So that join in progress, I feel like, needs to be something for them to look into. But if we're talking about the boss fight itself for Klaw, the Klaw boss fight is very fun in my opinion. It doesn't feel as smothering as the Super Adaptoid did when the OLT first came out. The Klaw boss fight is still very hard, right? But like when the Super Adaptoid boss came out, it was literally like the only possible strat was you had to beat her within the first 30 seconds, otherwise you were dead. And like what I like about the Klaw boss fights is it doesn't feel like that. It feels like you can chip away his health over time and meager your way to survive and just, actually have a prolonged, cool fight, like how a raid is supposed to be. So I honestly like that about Klaw's boss fight. Overall, I would give it about an 8 out of 10 for endgame content. And I would like to see more things like this in the future, but I still think it can be tweaked to just kind of perfect it even further. Like, for example, I also think it loses points for how long it is. Because, like I said, if you do absolutely everything perfect with minimal deaths and you get through every puzzle the first time and you beat Klaw, both of his phases of his boss fight for the first time, the raid is still taking you like an hour and 20 minutes to an hour and a half. So now if you're talking about like an average run where you're potentially dying a lot, or you don't have people that know what they're doing, so you have to tell them how to do the puzzles and stuff again, we're talking like the raid can take 2 hours to 2.5, maybe even 3 hours. And it's like, that is not something people want to do daily, especially if you're not someone who has a full group of people and you have to do it with randoms. Like, that's not something that people are going to want to attempt all the time. So I honestly think they should keep at least the same principles, but at least kind of shave off how long it would take. Like, I would appreciate if the raid would take an hour and a half with like a lot of deaths and stuff like that. So like maybe they could, because I mean the Super Adaptoid OLT is still hard content, but you can still get through it relatively quickly. They only need to make it, I feel like the length for the OLT is still good, so they only really need to make a raid, I feel like, slightly longer. Like, I'm talking maybe 45 to 50 minutes to maybe an hour if you get through everything the first time properly. But to do, if everything is perfect, for it to take an hour and a half, that's a long time. And 3 hours, if it's not perfect, that's obviously a severely long time to take out of somebody's day. And I understand it's a raid, but still, if you're also trying to push people to come back to play your game when it's already seen as unpopular in the public eye, you should at least, make it so one mission doesn't take up an entirety of the day, and it actually makes people want to go back and farm for that gear more. Because I'm telling you, one run of the Klaw raid for me, and I'm just spent for the Klaw raid for that day. Like, I don't want to run the raid again, but that's me personally. But that's all I have to say about it. Overall, I would give it an 8 out of 10 for endgame content. And I do think it's good, but it still can be perfected even further. But comment down below if you enjoyed it, or if you don't like it, or if you haven't been able to complete it yet. But either way, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe for future Marvel content. And I appreciate you for watching the video.